I know a brother, he said the only 2 times I take the Quran is either at a wedding or a funeral. You know, in his culture, when there's a wedding, they take the Quran and they walk with the bride and groom on top of it. And when somebody dies, they do the khatam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He tells us Ar-Rahman in one of the most beautiful chapters of the Quran. When people ask about what's your favorite chapter in the Quran, this always comes up with myself and others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says Ar-Rahman, and when He's telling you about the mercy of Allah and the favors of Allah and what Allah blessed you with, what is the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions? Allama al-Quran. After that, He says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ. So even before the bounty of Allah upon us, that He created us, that He gave us life, that He gave us every bounty that is listed in Surah Rahman, afterwards, before all of that, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala list as the greatest and first bounty that Allah gave to humanity? Is that He revealed and taught them the Quran. And He did not say خَلَقَ الْقُرْآن. He didn't say created the Quran, but rather He taught us the Quran. That means the Quran is غير مخلوق. It is not a part of the creation. This is kalam Allah. This is the words of Allah. نزل القرآن. Allah revealed it. It was sent down to us. It is such a bounty, as the Sheikh recited in the Salah, that if it was revealed on a mountain, the mountain, imagine a mountain, don't just like, you know, sit here and daydream because you think this is TikTok, you can't swipe left or right or up and down. Think about what I'm saying. When you go to Stone Mountain here and you see this huge mountain, or if you go travel to the Andes, or if you go to the Rockies, or if you go to the Himalayas, if you go see K2 in Pakistan, or you see Everest in Nepal, you see this huge, strong, firm mountain in front of you. Imagine, the Quran is so powerful that if it was revealed on the mountain would be dismayed, it would be dismantled, it would be in pieces from the greatness of the Quran. So imagine the heart that it takes to be the vessel to memorize the Quran. Imagine the virtue of the tongue that recites the Quran. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they would take this Quran and change their lives and change the history of mankind with it. You know, when you look at the history of Islam, in the time of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, one of the most decisive battles, Yarmouk, it was a battle fought in current day Jordan and this area that used to be all called Sham. And one of the decisive points in that battle is when the Roman military sent forth a huge battalion. The military itself was around 200,000 plus. And the first battalion they sent was 60,000. And at that time, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, he was the Amir of the Muslim army. And Khalid ibn al-Walid was in the army. And Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, he said, look, our entire army is around 2,000. And we're facing an army that is 200,000. Even their first battalion that is coming is 60,000. How should we respond? What did Khalid ibn al-Walid say? He said, let me fight them alone. Let me fight them alone. Like, think about it. Today, if we say something like that, you'd be like, bro, lost it. You know? He's out. What are you talking about alone, bro? There's 60,000 people armed with soldiers. Like, what's wrong with you? Abu bin Jarrah told him, no, you have to use the means in this world. Abu Sufyan was sitting with them. Abu Sufyan said, is he joking or is he serious? Khalid ibn Walid said, okay, if you want to use the means, give me 30 men. 30 men against 60,000? Abu bin Jarrah said, no, this is Darul Sabab, the world of means, take 60. Their using of means was what? 60 untrained men. These were not standing military. These were regular people who were farmers and tujjar, they were traders and different professions that just when they heard the call for jihad, they got up and went. The Roman army was a trained standing army. Banu Ghassan was the Arab who were aligned with the Romans, the 60,000 that came, they were trained by the Romans, the superpower of the time. So he took 60 men to fight 60,000. But how did he choose those men? How did he say, okay, who can do the most push-ups? Let's do some burpees. Who can bench the most? Who's got them sword skills? Who's got an MMA black belt? Who's got the weapon training? No. This is tariq, this is history. This is not even like something we just as Muslims believe. No, go to the non-Muslim historians and ask them about the Battle of Yarmouk and the decisive victory that it was and the numbers that were faced. They will tell you that Khalid ibn al-Walid, he went at night and he looked at the tents where the lamp, the oil lamps, the old school lamps were lit and people were reading the Quran. People were praying, reciting the Quran. And those that he found dedicated to the Quran, he chose them. Not their physical strength, but that spiritual strength. And when he went, as history is a witness, 60,000 made 60 men look like heroes. 60,000 cowards ran from 60 lions of the Quran. History is a witness to this, but my question to you is not this. We all know. If you don't know, ask the Sheikh, get Bidayah wa Nihaya, get Dhahabi's book, you can read. My question is, that Quran that transformed the society, that Quran that changed the history of the world, that Quran that gave the Sahaba that strength in their heart, do we not have it today? The Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah of the Muslim Ummah is no doubt. There are no holes in that narrative, no doubt. Every word, every letter, every ayah, even the pronunciation of how to pronounce it according to the different lahjat, all of that is preserved. We have it today in front of us as the Sahaba had it. So why is it that almost 2 billion Muslims can't free our brothers and sisters in Gaza? What changed? You know what changed? Is our implementation of the Quran, our dedication to understanding and living by the Quran. The Quran became a riwaj. I know a brother, he said the only 2 times I take the Quran is either at a wedding or a funeral. In his culture, when there's a wedding, they take the Quran and they walk with the bride and groom on top of it. And when somebody dies, they do the khatam. That's it. But the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they were not like this. Some of them, as Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu narrates and others, that it took them 9 years to memorize Al-Baqarah. Why? They were Arab. They could memorize very easily. They said we would learn 10 ayat. Then we would understand them. What does that mean? They spoke Arabic. They spoke better Arabic than anybody today. Their regular Arabic was fasih and baligh and so eloquent that professors can't speak today. That was their regular speech. So what do you mean understand it? No, they wanted to understand the meanings in depth. I'll give you an example of it. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu in his khilafah, during his khilafah, he would bring the people of the Quran and the people of knowledge, not like, okay, this guy's got great economic skills, this guy's got contacts with some Roman or Persian, whatever. He would bring people, no Steens and Steins and Bergs. He would bring the people of the Quran, the people of Fahm, people of knowledge. He would bring them around and then he would ask them for advice. And he would ask them about the Quran. So one time Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, young Sahabi, was sitting with them. So the people that were older, that were wiser, that had spent years of white beard saw, why is this young man sitting with us? They saw it to be strange. So Umar ibn Khattab told them, let me show you why. He asked all of them, what does it mean? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. Now what does it mean? What does it mean? Anybody? Come on, guys. We talked about this whole understanding. Come on. إِذَا جَاءَ, when the nusra of Allah comes, and the victory comes, which is about Fath Makkah. Everybody said that, except Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas said this was Allah telling the Prophet ﷺ, your life is going to be over. It's your time to go. What? That's